exponential growth of global population numbers is having both fatal and tragic impacts for the natural environment. Without a doubt, humankind is the most destructive force upon Earth, depriving the world of its resources in order to compensate for the day-to-day needs of all people. The overpopulated state of nations such as China is unsustainably taking more of the Earth's resources than they can afford to give back. This surpassing of the country's ability to cater for themselves with the readily available natural resources is instigating climate change and having harmful impacts upon the environment. Climate change can be defined as any significant long-term expected differences in regional weather patterns, which can be extended to inhabitable conditions becoming more prevalent. These changes have been noticed in China through indicators such as freshwater quality, air pollution, and food and agriculture. This video presentation will investigate the dangers of overpopulation in China through these three pressing environmental issues. Water is the Earth's most valuable resource that humankind and all other organisms rely upon for the continuation of life. Water is a key part of all bodily functions, key to survival, and also plays greater roles in global societies and economies. National populations depend on water as a source of fresh food and fish, to generate energy such as hydroelectricity, and to divide political areas or outline sacred grounds to some cultures. For countries the size of China, this dependence is emphasized even more so. Overpopulation in China, however, is causing several growing issues for water systems, including water scarcity. Water scarcity is a significant threat to human and animal lives, as well as ecosystems within China's expansive environment. Hydrologists and water experts argue that as the population continues to grow, the ratio of renewable fresh water declines per person, and once exceeded in a population, water shortages ensue. This has obvious negative impacts on national populations as it stunts human development and can start political tensions due to droughts. However, it also has adverse outcomes for ecosystems and plant life that rely upon consistent water flows for existence. China houses 7% of the world's fresh water supply to meet the needs of 20% of the world's total population. This undersupply of water in China exemplifies these issues, with much of China's agriculture struggling under a lack of water. This has resulted in damages to food production in wetlands and rural areas of China. This issue is further more so due to the placement of available fresh water in the country. Roughly a third of all agricultural practices are in the north of China, but with 80% of water resources located in southern China, water management is poor and ultimately leads to damaging effects on land. The wet climate in China, however, is beneficial for China's water supply issues, but with temperatures rising due to climate change, fresh water may face more serious constraints in the future. Overpopulation also leads to increased wastewater, river discharge, and soil subsidence, which consequently pollutes fresh waterways and river systems. Waste production generally finds itself eventually ending up in water systems and oceans, where they pose dangerous hazards to life forms. Overpopulation in China has drastically increased waste production in the country, and has thus led to contamination of major rivers such as the Songhao and Yellow rivers. Mass industrialization as a result of overpopulation has been a primary driver of wastewater. In 2007 alone, 4.3 billion tonnes of polluting effluent were dumped into the Yellow River, mostly by factories. This not only made the water unsafe for human consumption, but significantly damaged plant life and native wildlife who rely upon this river system. E-waste is another destructive contributing factor to water systems in China. Ineffective waste management strategies of products such as laptops, washing machines, and mobile phones led to chemicals such as benzene, which can potentially cause cancer, being polluted into the Songhao River in 2005, and resulting in water being cut off to 3.8 million people. These pollution issues only reflect a small portion of the water contamination issues in China. More than 20% of 200 tested rivers in China were reported by the Ministry of Environmental Protection as not safe for use. The current grave nature of water quality in China is a direct result of overpopulation and how it has led to increased waste production by the population.
Overpopulation is a direct cause of air pollution. In China, major population centers such as Beijing are the main contributors to this rise in air pollution. The problem with air pollution is the dramatic effect it has on the population. According to The Guardian, in 2012, more than 1 million people reportedly died from air pollution in China. According to the World Health Organization, with winter smog proving a problem in the country's densely populated capital, Beijing. This winter smog can often make daylight feel like nighttime as it is so dark all the time thanks to how heavily the pollution is. The problem with air pollution is that it is a direct result of overpopulation. The damaging part of the smog is called particle pollution, which can be so harmful to humans that it contributes to millions of deaths every year in China alone. Particle pollution, also called particle matter or PM, is a mixture of solids and liquids, droplets floating in the air. Some particles are released directly from a specific source, while others form in complicated chemical reactions in the atmosphere. Particles come in a wide range of sizes. Particles less than or equal to 10 micrometers in diameter are so small they can get into the lungs, potentially causing serious health problems. China's average concentrations of lung-damaging particles, known as PM2.5, rose by 5.2% in the first 2 months of 2015. Despite this, the Chinese government is actively pursuing its ways in which it can clean up the air, which has been so heavily polluted by both the population and business. According to The Guardian, the government's Clean Air Action Plan has included some measures as placing a quota on new vehicles, trying to reduce coal consumption down from 23 million tonnes to a target of 5 million tonnes by 2020, and creating 5 urban forests, 21 small green spaces, 10 leisure parks, and 100 kilometres of healthy greenways in 2018 alone. This is a bold step in the right direction and must remain of the utmost importance on the Chinese government's agenda if they are to create a healthier future for the citizens of Beijing.
China is the perfect exemplification of a nation experiencing the negative effects of overpopulation. Their increasingly dense population has been proven to heavily impact many aspects of Chinese life, in particular the food and agriculture industries. The Chinese agricultural industry is extremely vital to their economy and livelihood, and according to the studies of Shilong Powell, it provides food for approximately 22% of the world. This dependence on the Chinese agriculture industry reinforces the importance of a healthy ecosystem. It can also be observed that there's been a 4.5% decrease in wheat production between 1979 and 2000. This decrease has occurred in correlation with the warming of the country in recent years. With such a dense population, the byproducts associated with climate change and global warming are magnified intensely. This drastic change in climate and its effect on the food industry in China can be directly credited to the increasing density of the nation's population. If the evident issues that overpopulation presents to water systems in China continues, the intensification and danger of scarcity and pollution is likely to escalate, threatening more life and environmental networks. This impending vulnerability must be addressed by governments. Effective policy making, business usage of water, and household responsible water use practices are all essential in preventing further water shortages and droughts. Waste management also must be improved in China to provide protection to the quality of water. The utilization of government influence in the struggle against the negative effects of overpopulation is crucial to the survival of the country and the planet as a whole.